All right, folks. Today's the 15th of December, 2024. My name is Evan Strong. This is the location I normally do In the Image Clothing Company podcast in, as far as that's what I normally use this location for. But this is In the Image Clothing Company music. I really want to do this video. It's this weird thing. I've been back and forth today. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's this Sabbath, but I really feel right about making videos. I just can't shake this prompting to use this guitar. This isn't mine. This is my mom's guitar. But I don't play steel string guitars. I play nylon strings. But I've kept getting this prompting about patience. Yet I keep getting told to make videos with guitars. Now, here's what we're going to talk about within this is, and I want to just have all transparency about, this is not me trying to make this video, not that there's anything wrong with the video. I want to make it very clear, though, that this is something I feel so strongly has to be made. So maybe it'll come in handy down the road to be able to look back on, and maybe I'll know later more of the reason why I'm making this, is what I mean. There's no reason not to, but it feels like there's some really big purpose behind doing it and doing it right now. It's like, because it's like I almost don't want to, but it feels like it has to be done. So I want to be really clear with how I'm not trying to have any kind of opinions coming through within this. See, it's like I'm trying to approach this in a way that I feel is the best, but it's like, just make it, is what I keep getting told. So here we go. Whatever this is going to be, I want that to be clear, that I'm being told to make this and I can't shake it. I can't not, because all I'm trying to do is be obedient, and this is what keeps coming to me to do. So yes, okay. The thing with steel strings, we're gonna run over what steel strings are, why I don't like them, and not for the sake of you hearing my opinion, but again, I feel so almost forced, in a good way, kindly forced to make this video out of, I'm trying to be obedient, and this is where that's taking us. So the thing with steel strings versus nylon strings is the point, right? Steel strings got a lot of things about them that I don't like. I'm going to say that. I'm just going to word things like that within this, and just know I don't mean this out of listen to my opinion and believe something I'm saying. Like I'm saying, there's something with this video that's going to be very purposeful for whatever reason. So I'm going to just word it that way, and I'm not trying to push an opinion with each time I say what I like or don't like. But I feel like it's just supposed to be worded that way within this. I think you can see the battle that I'm having with this, but I'm supposed to do it. I don't like how steel strings have two strings that are different, and they're so tiny and so slippery. I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. I own it. I run it. The whole thing with In the Image Clothing Company is to allow our bodies to work. And golly, man. I mean, the difference between the slip back and forth on the frets from those two highest strings, right? The E and the A. These high... GC... Wait, what? Hold on. I've been holding the ukulele the past few days. What do we have here? What the heck? Dude, you can tell how I'm feeling about this video. E, A, D. It's a B and an E. The highest two strings, the B and the E. It's capoed, so that's not actually a B and an E that you're hearing. It's capoed on the fifth. Those two strings are slippery, and that's just so different than the rest of them, especially the two thickest bass strings. They're so much thicker. I mean, multiple times thicker than the highest two strings. So that's just really, that's not what we want for the hand. I talk about keeping the same height on the saddle and the nut from E to E with the radius in the center. But when these strings are so much thicker, in order to actually have it be the same height, you'd have to have the saddle and the nut lower on the low E side to accommodate for the thickness of the string from high E to low E to actually have it be even across. And that doesn't really work, because now the space between the frets and the string is going to be different, even if the height of the string on top of them is the same, because the diameter of the strings are different. There's so much that just, you can't quite get it to be comfortable unless you shave down your frets as well, so that your frets are actually lower, meaning closer to the fretboard on the low E side as they are on the high E side. I just think that the difference in diameter between the highest E and the lowest E is just so immense that there's pretty much nothing you could do without getting specially made strings that have different diameter than traditionally they do, to have them feel anywhere near the same. And as you're flying through stuff, man, chords and picking through, I mean, if you're just like, I almost don't even want to like pick, I might, but I almost don't even want to like pick through anything at all in this, because it's just, I don't like steel strings. You don't got to care about my opinion, but I don't like steel strings at all. And I'm only saying this because I'm prompted to make this. There's like a thing about them. It's weird because the other four are wound. So you got like the core, and then you've got string wound around it. So it's textured. Listen to this, right? This is a low E, and this is the A, this is a D, this is a G, and then you get to the B and the E, and they're not wound. They're entirely different. I understand with classical strings it's the same, except it's 3 and 3. It's split right in half with the difference, because there are 3 wound strings on classical guitars. I understand. Trust me, I have not had a lot of guitars. I'll just, for the sake of reference, I've had 19 guitars. I've worked on them all myself. I understand. I get it. But it's weird, those 2 highest strings. I think if you could get a set, and maybe somebody does make a set, that has wound B and E strings as well as the other 4, that might be something that would be very beneficial, and maybe that exists. Steel strings, man, it's like, this is authentic. The amount of like, I don't even know what else to say, but I'm saying things without saying any more words. I don't know what else to really put on this, because I don't like it. Doesn't matter if I like it or not. It's not good, man. It's not the same for your hand. It's so different. So, because like what'll be happening is, especially, I do so many hammer-ons when I play guitar. If you're doing a hammer-on a low E versus a high E, that feeling is just entirely different. The diameter of the string's different, and so the effort that it takes to press it down is different. The height that you're pressing it is different by a lot. The unwound strings, those 2 highest ones, they just slip around on the fretboard. But since the other strings are wound, they have so much texture to them. And that's great. I love texture, meaning the human body loves texture. But now you've got 2 strings that don't have texture, and those strings are used, at least as much as the other ones. And so it's like, so different. Your body can't predict it. You're slipping on those and you're not on the other ones. The height that you're lifting your fingers off when you're coming, fretting and unfretting notes on the bass strings, especially as you get thicker. Generally, steel string guitars just get from thin to thick as you go across from high E to low E. It's just pretty evenly expanding in size, from one side to the other, and then diminishing in size from the E that's low to the E that's high. So that low E is so big, because when we're talking about the radius within the hand, and you're trying to keep a radius there, but then like where your pointer finger is going to be going, like let's say you're playing a G chord, and like you're up here, these fingers that are up here are just going to be off of the fretboard. And you want it to ideally just be equally radiused. And so it's like always going to be like this. Instead of like equally against it, it's always, just because this is so much thicker than this, the low E is so much thicker than the high E. You go from here to here in everything you do on a guitar. And that's just putting your whole upper body forward. I wonder if that's like the biggest thing, actually, is just the immense discrepancy in size from those E's from E to E. Because on a classical guitar, this isn't necessarily a comparison. On a classical guitar, though, just meaning like, I don't know, maybe it is like, the strings don't vary very much in size. I mean, they're different, but not much. On this thing, it's just unreal. So if you're picking on the highest string, you're having to like, the size of a high E, if you haven't played guitar, if you can see this, look how thin this thing is. I'm moving it back and forth, and maybe you can't even tell. It's so tiny. I understand this is just how they've been for so long. I'm not trying to be like, I made an epiphany. No, they're tiny. Tiny high E. And then this thing's like, it's got some size to it to where you can actually feel what you're doing. And it's just so crazy how different, because you're on the same fretboard. You know? I mean, really? I don't think there'd be any way that it wouldn't be ideal for all the strings on a guitar to be the same diameter. That would be ideal. Because then you got same height of saddle and nut from E to E. You've got a radius in the center. And then all the strings are the exact same diameter. Why don't we have that? Again, maybe they do. Maybe there's a company that makes that. Especially, I could see that being the case for nylon strings, just because they're just what they are. They're different than this by a lot. Entirely different, right? Different materials and stuff. So, yeah, steel strings. Because it's not just like I'm sitting here complaining on the floor talking to a camera about steel strings. No, again, I'm trying to just be as intentional as I can with what I'm placing here. Even if that doesn't seem like I am being, right? I'm praying through it and trying to do what I am supposed to be doing. You can't do it. Meaning, you can't get them to feel even across, because they're just entirely different. So, yeah, this guitar is in our house. It's not mine, but I have every access, if you will, to it. I could be playing it right now. And I'm like sitting here like, man, Father, I want a guitar. But there's like one. I'm not being all, high maintenance about, I just want the exact one that I want. But no, I don't play steel strings, man. I don't. Okay, maybe that's what we're going to be saying as far as, it's getting right about time to wrap this up. Because, I've been aware of all this. I've torn guitars apart left and right. I've been through, I don't want to put an exaggeration on it, but just such a high number of string sets. Having that many guitars, I put new strings on, as far as I know, every single guitar, maybe give or take one or two. And then some of them I seriously swapped out. Many sets of strings. So I've done a lot with strings. I've been aware, because it's pretty apparent, that they're so different in size. Having this whole battle, though, of not knowing what I needed in guitars, and that's the reason I ended up with so many. It's like just now that I'm fully realizing what's so really weird about steel string guitars. Nylon strings were actually the first guitars. They were. We've had steel strings for quite a long time. But that doesn't mean anything. The radius is great. Didn't used to be radiuses until they started putting them in. And that's something that just about all steel string guitars do have. Just about. But other than that, steel strings, man, you don't got to care about my opinion. But you can listen to my experience as far as the experience under my belt. I don't like them. I don't like them. I'm not complaining. I'm not, that's why this is like a video that I'm not even sure why is happening, other than I just am certain that I have to make it right now. So, yeah. it's almost like disgusting. Like, I'm almost disgusted is what I mean by the fact that they, I mean, people have been playing these for how long, you know, since we started having steel strings on guitars, and why are they the way that they are?